Welcome to 10 Talks, real conversations for champions with champions, where a champion life is a 10 life. Thank you for joining our team today. I'm Carlette Patterson, your head sports life coach at the Life Training Academy, and it's our desired outcome to share our passion for sports life coaching by training you to live a 10 life. You and your life matter. Let's get coached. Hi team, welcome to 10 Talks. It's another great workout in that life gym, and we have Kevin today. He is one of our sports life coaches as well as a CEO of his company, and just excited. First of all, Kevin, as an intro, we want to hear the power of your story and really why you're so passionate about our topic today, which our topic team is champion change. And we want to talk about, first of all, what does champion change mean, and how do you achieve champion change in your life? And we believe that it starts with defining it. So we want to define champion, we want to define change for you and for your life. So we're going to do a combination of sharing our winning strategies, as well as somewhat coaching you up so that you can take what we're talking about and know when you finish this life workout with us, how to implement it into your life. So Kevin, let's get the team started on a great workout today. Tell us a bit about your story from a champion change perspective.
Absolutely, Carlette. Well, thank you so much for having me on here. It's great to see, to be part of this and be able to share a message for everyone that'll be tuning into this. You know, for me, change, it's kind of that old saying, when you look up the definition of change, you'll see my picture there in the dictionary, right? My gosh, it seems like my life has been all about that in so many different ways. You know, and as I hearken back on where a lot of that change began for me, really began at an early period of time when I was 28 years old and decided to start my own company in the direct selling industry. That was massive change for me because it was going from a musician and sort of college student to running my own company with my partner. And it was a massive change for me to make that decision to jump out there, start my own business without a life raft, so to speak, right? And with 2 children and a mortgage and all that stuff, right? But again, I could look at that opportunity with fear or with faith, and I decided to look at that opportunity with faith and jumped into that change in a big, big way. And I can tell you that that change had been monumental for me in my ability to live out my definition of success and purpose in my life, and that is to help other people. So through that company, for about 23 years, I was able to, again, embrace change throughout all of that period of time, and doing it by really digging into my definition of success. And what's interesting is that change wasn't done for me. You know, I hit 53 years old, and I kind of thought that everything was sort of in place and life was going to continue on. But guess what? It didn't. In 2017, we ended up selling the company and joining another company as part of that acquisition. And guess what? That was a whole nother change for me, right? Because I went from being a corporate person to now more of a independent, what we call distributor. And that was a complete change for me. And I was no longer showing up to the office every day. And I no longer had responsibilities in a significant way every day. And I also wasn't impacting people nearly as much every day. So it's very interesting. For the next year after we sold the company, my wife and I, Ellen, we had an opportunity to do a little bit of travel. And I found at the end of that year, roughly around 2018, middle of 2018, I was pretty, I was not happy because the change at that point impacted me in a way because I was no longer contributing in the way that I had been used to. So when I'm not happy, what happens now? Time to look for some more change. And that's where I found you. And I can tell you that that having the opportunity to spend time with you and your tremendous coaching program, life coaching, and then being able to meet some of my coaching partners, it really took me from a position of what's next in my life to becoming really, really clear about what's next in my life. And again, being in a position to embrace change. So what happened for me, Carlette, is I went from running a direct selling company to then joining a company where we're actually going out and remodeling homes throughout the Scottsdale area. Why do I share that with you? Because you want to talk about being uncomfortable and being in major change. My family always jokes with me. You know, if something's got to be fixed around the house, do not call dad, right? Yet here I am running a remodeling company with wonderful people, right? So again, that was one of those situations where at a time of my life, I embraced change again. And I can tell you that that change has been very, very positive for me. And I've developed winning strategies around change. And again, I think it's so applicable that as we're talking about change here today, everybody, there's not a person in the world at this point, right, that is not experiencing change to our normalcy, change to maybe how we view things. So for me, change has been something that at times has been scary. Change has been something that has always ultimately focused me more on faith than fear. While fear is there, right? It's a decision to actively focus on faith, which is certainly a big part of change management, and then just going all in and embracing it. So I love change, and I love talking about change. So that's a little bit about me.
Well, and Kevin, thank you you've really set our team up. And team, I want to just coach you up a bit. Kevin gave you a beautiful, really play there as he described change. And you heard constantly Kevin referencing his definition of success. That is one of our tools that we use as your compass. So I'm going to challenge you to come up with your definition of success so that every time you go to make a decision through change, through anything you're doing in your life, you're referencing back to that definition that you created that's based on who you are and what's important to you. And that's how you can start to determine, do I have the courage to go for this? Am I ready for it? Is it in alignment with what really matters to me? Or am I maybe going for it for reasons that aren't going to serve me well later? So Kevin, what is your definition of success?
Great question. And you know, that was probably the most impacting discovery that I had during your coaching program, right? Learning how to be a life coach, is that I had originally defined my success around a specific title and in a specific industry. And as I began to explore and sort of unpack the things that were most important to me, what I began to do was change my definition of success to something that was more sort of general. And for me, what I found is that my definition of success is essentially contributing to an organization of people with like values and like vision in a company focused on making a difference. That to me really became my definition of success. So instead of having it to be, you know, a CEO in this type of industry, which would have, you know, taken me and narrowed me down, I would have never jumped into the industry that I'm in right now had I defined myself based on a specific title in a specific industry. I defined it more generally, but at the same time, more narrowly relative to my passion. And that what was so cool about digging down, right? Really spend time on that definition of success and ask yourselves the proper questions, obviously with a great coach that can guide you through that. And I can tell you that through that process, my gosh, it opened up my definition of success so that I was now much more embracing and comfortable with change, because I was able to see how it fit in to my definition of success, whereas before it may have been outside of that definition. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Well, that's really you just anchoring in your why, right? Really understanding, why am I feeling uncomfortable? You know, why am I pushing through the uncomfortableness? What's happening here? And is it worth it? I think that's the question we're constantly asking ourselves. And sometimes we don't know, you know, we don't know if it's going to be worth it. That's that faith component. So team, I hope you hear that's your first MeQ skill for today's life workout. Remember, MeQ is the intelligence of me. And Kevin and I are here to coach you up on really you understanding who are you, what's important to you, and knowing that you and your life matter. So for you to really step into being that champion, we need you to know yourself and understand yourself, your winning strategies, your performance barriers. So our first MeQ skill today is that definition of success. Now we're going to move into our change formula from a perspective of, we're going to talk today about 3 really just kind of skills that we feel, Kevin and I feel, are important for you to have that opportunity to be the champion you want in your life and to go for the change that you want in your life. So we believe it starts with courage, then we believe confidence, and then coachable. So from that courage perspective, that's internal, right? You have to come up with that definition of success and you've got to have the courage to do it. then you've got to have the confidence. And I know these are common words: courage, confidence, coachable, but Kevin and I are going to invest in really unpacking them from a way that you know how to get that, rather than just feel like you're supposed to have it and you're kind of faking it till you make it kind of thing. And being able to be coachable for us is that ability to be in change constantly and understanding that you're growing, you're getting better, you're really going through champion change for something that matters to you. So let's start with courage. And so, Kevin, how would you say, first of all, some winning strategies for how did you find courage in yourself to go from 28 as a college boy, that then a mortgage and a couple of kids, and you're, you know, from a drummer playing bands and really loving the music scene to starting your own company? Where's that courage?
Oh, great question. You know, it's funny you mentioned the drummer. My hair's getting so long, it's starting to look like my musician days. I haven't had a haircut in about 3 months. Who knows what I'm going to look like next time you see me, right?
Maybe you're going to get back to drumming. Who knows, baby?
You never,
Here we go.
exactly, right? Well, you know, yeah, courage, right? I mean, it comes back ultimately to what we know, and that is that clarity for me of the definition of success creates that faith that always becomes greater than my fears. It's kind of like, you know, I've always loved math. And for me, it's kind of an equation. And that is that when your fears are greater than your faith, you know, you generally will not embrace change. When your faith can be greater than your fears, I think you're just much more inclined to embrace that change. So for me, it's always been about digging down first and foremost into that definition of success. I believe the other thing is also speaking what's true, and that change is uncomfortable, and being comfortable with being uncomfortable really is an important piece that has always just that I've embraced. Again, not without hesitation, but knowing that, hey, you know, I've got two choices here. I could either embrace the change or I cannot. And for me, I've always, again, the equation for me has always been to embrace that change through faith. Another winning strategy for me is that, again, makes sense, right? In anything that doesn't work out for you, there's an opportunity to learn from there.
Yeah.
So I've just always picked myself up. My gosh, I've learned a lot of lessons through mistakes over the years, and I'm okay with that. So I think, again, it's being comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's being comfortable with knowing that to me, confidence, which is so important, is not about knowing that you can move forward without mistake. It's about knowing you can move forward, and that whatever happens to you, you can pick yourself up, learn from it, and continue down that path towards progress. And ultimately, that to me is a key. Focusing on progress, focusing on those small wins each day that do what? They create that little bit of confidence, right? Those wins every day that we focus on create a little bit more confidence, a little bit more confidence, a little bit more confidence. And those small wins create a big win, again, as we go through change. So those are some of the winning strategies for me that I've really focused on. I'm going to come back to, again, definition of success, clarity of that, be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? And really, really, Carlette, really grasping that fact that those small wins that we move forward with each and every day are things that we have to celebrate, and are things that we have to use to push us forward each and every day through that fear, through courage, and increased confidence through those wins.
So team, I want you to hear really the power of passion and just having that confidence to go for what you want. Let's talk about courage from a perspective of, we all want it. We all have moments of it. And then we get up and we may be super motivated and the day starts knocking us down. And we're not feeling those short-term wins. In fact, we're feeling some losses and we're feeling some failures. So what's important, team, is that we really believe in our coaching that we're going to have a vision, we're going to have things we want, we're going to go for it, and performance barriers are going to constantly show up. So for our next MeQ skill is going to be that performance barrier. And from a performance barrier perspective, that's about what barrier is getting in the way of you being able to be who you want to be, achieve what you want to achieve. We want to give you a skill that neutralizes all the emotion. So Kevin, as you watch your film and your life and you think about when you were gaining confidence and you know, were going for courage, what performance barriers got in the way of you being able to be who you really wanted to be?
Well, I think just, certainly so much of what I ended up doing, I had never done before. Right. So that really was a major performance barrier, that little voice in your head saying, yeah, Debbie, you were a drummer. What makes you think you can run a multi-million-dollar company and that kind of stuff, right? So that was certainly a major performance barrier for me, and it still happens to this day, right? I mean, it just happens to this day all the time, and you just work through that. So for me, ultimately, that performance barrier of, can I do this? Am I good enough? What happens when it gets bigger? Can I still handle that? Those are things that I really struggled with, especially early on in my professional career. It was tricky, very tricky for me, but I got through it, right?
So as we talk about the MECU skill performance barrier, the first step is identifying the performance barrier. And that's a belief, right? Am I good enough? Can I do this? I'm going for something I've never done before. No playbook on it. I'm just going for it. So the next component of this MECU skill is, what's your action to change? So number one, we're going to identify what's my performance barrier. Number two, what's my action to change? I hope you're enjoying our conversation with this week's champion. We'd love to get you coached and really have you step into living that 10 life. Go to lifetrainingacademy.com for more information. Enjoy the rest of the conversation. So Kevin, when you had those feelings and we were going for courage and confidence, but that's not what was showing up, what was your action to change?
Well, for me, what I would do is I didn't realize I was doing it at the time, but I realize now, is I was watching my film, right? And first thing I was doing is I was looking back at my life and looking at all the areas where I did succeed, right? And using that to anchor in. So what I would say is, anchoring in those 10 moments where I felt like I went after something that I was fearful of, and I got to where I wanted to be. Yeah. So anchoring in those moments of success, what I'll call those 10 moments of success, were huge for me, right? That was really, and that gave me that confidence to say, hey, you know what? If I could do it there, it gives me enough confidence to take that step forward, right? And again, that's that faith aspect. And for me, it was steps. It wasn't leaps. Right? It wasn't big leaps. It were just these steps, and anchoring in those 10 moments by watching my film of what I had done in the past just gave me that confidence to do it. I'll give you a good example. I would, get up on stage and talk to, in front of many people. And I was scared to death of it. So what did I anchor in? I was a musician, and I remember performing in front of hundreds and hundreds of people. And that was something that I anchored in. I anchored in the ability to be in front of people, to perform, and to do well. So I anchored in that 10 moment for me. That was just one of the winning strategies that I've used. And I've got some others as well.
So team, I want you to hear, we're talking about performance barriers for courage and confidence. We've identified it. That's number one. Number two, what's our action to change? You heard Kevin say he anchored in his wins, basically the moments where he had pushed past fear and pushed past whatever his performance barrier was, and he had won. He basically then captured some winning strategies. How did I do it? What can I do? You'll hear us reference constantly, watch our film. We get that from sports, where in sports we come in, we play hard, and then we come in and we sit down with our coach and we watch our film. The desired outcome of watching our film is, what can I learn? Because when we're in life and we're going for it and we're playing hard, we're going to make mistakes. We're just playing hard. I mean, look at all the athletes out there. If you watch the sports and you see they make some shots, they miss some shots, that, it's good and bad. And then they have the ability when the game is over, right? That's really important. They don't watch their film during the game. They're not analyzing while they're trying to play. They are fully engaged, playing hard. And then when that moment or that play or that game is over, so for us in business, it would be when the day is over, can I watch my film? What can I learn so that tomorrow, because we believe every day's game day, tomorrow we can set ourselves up and be like, what I learned from yesterday's game that I'm going to take into tomorrow's game. So you hear Kevin reference that as a winning strategy and part of his action to change. Watch my film. What were my wins? Now, our third process for this MeQ tool and skill is does my action to change actually align with my definition of success? So Kevin, does it align with you being able to live that definition of success that you've created?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's the other key part of it, is that as I would move forward, again, focusing on those, we'll call them those small victories, those small wins, and gain more confidence. I also found that I was becoming more of what I wanted to become, right? I mean, that all makes sense. As a result of that, my impact, my contribution became even more. So those small steps, based on the courage to take those next steps, to engage those small wins, to work towards that small progress that adds up to a big win, enabled me through those struggles, through those uncertainties, through moving forward, however, to become more, so I could be more impactful for people. So to me, that's what got me to where I am at this moment, which is a person always looking to get better, but certainly more impactful now than I was, let's say, 20 years ago, right? So it aligns so beautifully. Embracing change for me aligns so beautifully with my definition of success, because it enables me to just be more of what I want to be. One other quick point as well that has been so powerful for me since learning this tool called the balcony. Change is so much about emotional management. And that's my kids, my wife. I'm an emotional guy. I mean, I'm crying at the Disney cartoon movies, right? Just the way I am. So for me, really managing emotion is something that is really important to me regarding change, because when you're in a very emotional state, it's difficult to be able to have the proper perspective and see things clearly through those emotions. So this concept of going up to the balcony for me, especially now over the past, because there's a lot of things going on now that are all about change for all of us, but being able to go to the balcony and essentially removing yourself from all of those emotions and looking at it more factually, for lack of a better way to put it, more observationally in terms of what you're going through at this moment, looking at it from a balcony and saying, what do I see? You see yourself, you see your environment, you see the people you're interacting with, how that's all responding. That balcony enables me to see things more clearly versus just responding based on my emotional moment at the time. So that going to the balcony is one of the most powerful tools for me for emotional management, which is all about change.
Love it. So team, you are getting to hear just a list of MeQ skills. We've now added from our definition of success. We know that we're going to go for courage and confidence to be able to step into that change that we're interested in. And when we start to go for things, we're going to have performance barriers show up, not once a month, but pretty much throughout the day, right? It's constantly just going. So instead of getting focused on the performance barrier and everything being about, it's not working, maybe I should give this up, we're constantly saying, okay, just a performance barrier. It's a barrier getting in the way of what I want. What's my performance barrier? Identify it. What's my action to change? And does this align with my definition of success? The reason we want that alignment is because if it doesn't align with your definition of success, you're not going to have the ability to really push through the pain or the uncomfortableness to stick with it and make it happen. So that's why that MeQ skill is designed in 3 steps so that you can truly do the work that you want for change. Now you heard the next one, it's going to the balcony. It's that emotional management. So from a MeQ perspective, if we can't manage our emotions, we can't stay in the game at the level that we really want. So as you heard Kevin talk about, one of his winning strategies is the ability during managing his emotions to go to the balcony. We want to set you up for success with that MeQ skill. It's all about when you're emotional, go to the balcony, as Kevin said, get a new perspective. From the balcony, we want you looking down, kind of watching everything that's happening, making note to yourself, what am I learning? What do I want to learn? What do I need? Once you've had a moment on the balcony, number 1, take a deep breath, huge winning strategy on the balcony. Observe, learn, you got to come down from the balcony. You must re-enter into life. So once you're on the balcony, you take that breath and you learn what you want to learn. Know that you're going to take that learning and really put it into your back pocket. Bring it down from the balcony with you and show up with a new perspective so that you can really be different in that moment. So now let's step into some more winning strategies. So Kevin, I know you've got some great winning strategies on perspective, because we're down from the balcony now and we're going into that perspective component for champion change. Take us through a winning strategy for you.
Yeah, my gosh, with all that's going on right now, right? It's so important that at least for me, right? This is what I'm talking to myself now, that I maintain perspective as I'm making decisions, as I am a dad and a husband, as I am running a company, as I am interacting with my friends, whatever it is. I mean, the more that I can maintain what I'll call that healthy perspective on all that's going on right now, the better I'm going to be, and hopefully be more impactful to other people. So for me, maintaining perspective in this crazy time is again some simple strategies. But number one, obviously gratitude, right? I am wiring myself to be focused on the good, right? And we've got to look for it. And I just really believe that. It all starts with awareness. Awareness for me is a massive winning strategy, right? It's a massive winning strategy in terms of going to the balcony and becoming aware of things that maybe I wasn't aware of before, right? Being aware of all the good that's happening in my life. And sometimes we got to dig into that. For me personally, the past few months have been very challenging on a personal level in particular. But again, focusing in on those things that I'm grateful for, which brings me to the second thing, Carlette. And this is kind of how I like to say it. Pay attention to the little big things in life. Okay. Pay attention to, so what are the little big things in life? So let me share with you just some goofy things that I've done over the past few months to maintain a positive perspective. Getting together with Ellen, my two daughters, and you know what we do? We watch Family Feud. Now, how does that maintain perspective? Because what it does is it kind of takes you out of the moment of all that's going on, and you're embracing the rest and relaxation side of your life, and you're doing it together, and you're having fun, and it's that break, so to speak, right? Cooking with my daughters. I mean, again, these things that are the little, what I'm going to call big things, because they make an impact on my emotional energy, right? They make a huge impact on my emotional energy. So paying attention to those little big things, those things that we look at during the course of the day that may seem small, but they have a big impact on how you feel, and as a result, how you view life. Gratitude, paying attention to the little big things, and then finally find your peace, whatever that peace is for you. PEACE. So my peace for me, to maintain perspective and again focus on progress and moving forward versus all of the kind of difficulty that may be going on right now. For me, peace is around music, connecting with my earpods right here, putting on some smooth jazz and just connecting there. It's around reading. That's my peace in a big way. And it's also around being inspired by other people. So I spend a lot of time learning about what other successful people are doing or have done in the past. And again, looking and identifying their winning strategies and say, how did those fit into my definition of success, right? How do those fit into how I am as a person? So those are just three things that for me that I do that really help me keep proper perspective so I can stay positive, so I can stay focused on moving forward with the good, then going in reverse and focusing on the fear and some of the challenges that we're all going through right now.
Well, Kevin, a fun fact on that. I don't know if you know this, and certainly our audience won't know it, but our family was on Family Feud when I was a kid. So that's just a fun little 10 moment for us to share in terms of, as you're watching Family Feud now, you can think about that when I was in junior high, our family was on that. And Richard Dawson was the host back then.
Richard Dawson,
right? It was a long, long time ago, yes. And We actually filmed one of their funniest shows in history, which, you know, that's not something we really planned on doing by any means or thought that would be kind of part of our journey to Family Feud, but that's what happened on that show for us. And the fun part about it is that we got invited back. We lost. So, wrong answer. But, you know, we did have a great time and we did lose and they invited us back. Back then they had a nighttime show too.
Yeah.
And so we got to go back and be on it twice and we lost again. So obviously our family is not champions at Family Feud, but we got like a lifetime supply of syrup and gum. We got all kinds of crazy stuff. And best of all, just as you were saying, Kevin, we got amazing memories.
Yeah.
So that's just what I love hearing you say, is just that perspective and the joy and the fun of figuring out what's fun. We call that MEQ skill rest and recovery. It's not just laying down and kind of having your brain go a little crazy with anxiety or the things that we can't control, but instead it's picking what we can control and saying, hey, I want to call some people that I love or have some fun or get some exercise or watch a show, make sure laughter and all that stuff's included. So team, I hope you're really getting the power of just being able to say, I can do this. As a champion, we want you to be a champion for your life, whatever that definition is. We want to give you that inspiration, the skills, the tools, the coaching to really have you be like, you can do this. Get up, you can do it one step at a time. Kevin, let's move into the third one, which is being coachable. And that's really, you know, you talked about reading some books to find out what other people are doing. We really love and believe in the power of team. We believe who we surround ourselves with matters. What are they putting in our brains? What are we taking away from it? Is it based on gratitude or is it based on complaints? Are we focusing on winning strategies or are we focusing on performance barriers? So Kevin, watch your film. Think about a failure, because I want to get real and really talk about the fact that you and I are failing every day. As much as we're going for that championship, we're failing every day. And inside any kind of failure that you've had, how did being coachable help you to be a champion for change in your own life?
Wow. Great question. Well, you know, I would say that certainly that time after we sold the company, and I got about a year out, I felt like a complete failure. I looked at it and I had, I lost my sense of purpose. I questioned, you know, just where I was in my life. Where was I heading? Did I have the energy to get up and do something again? Did I have the skill set? I mean, after a year sort of being out of it too, I got to tell you, you know, it's like, it is like riding a bike a little bit, but not quite. Right. And to be,
but we can get out of shape, right? I mean, we can lose this.
And all that stuff for a year. I mean, I just had so many questions. Am I even capable of doing what I'd like to do? You know, is my best behind me? And that's a really tough thing to work through. Especially for me, it was very, very difficult. And really what got me through it was, it's interesting. Just accepting where I was, taking responsibility for that feeling of failure, because I was putting that on myself. Right. And no matter what my wife Ellen would tell me or my friends would tell me, it didn't matter. I owned it. And therefore I only could, to me, make a positive change to get out of that sense of failure. And that's what essentially made me open to taking your course. I mean, really, that's what it was. I just, at some point in my life says, I got to stop this, right? Because the negative self-talk was just really rough. And it was getting worse by the week. The less I was engaged, the more it would happen. So I was like, I got to break this. Then I've got to have courage again. I've got to have confidence again. And I've got to go out there and have some new hope.
Yeah.
Thank you. Which resulted in some really good new thinking, right? So as I embrace that whole coaching philosophy and learned it. Again, being able to redefine my definition of success took me out of failure to, wow, this whole new world of possibilities opened up for me that I didn't see before, right? I couldn't see it because I was too focused on, quite frankly, the success I had previously and thinking that was the only sandbox I could play in. And then that went to the failure, how I'm feeling right now. So the combination of not being in that comfortable sandbox and the failure that I'm feeling like right now made me like, wow, how am I going to get out of this? And then I was at some point said I got to have the courage to make positive change, took your course and was coached through you. And really, it just completely opened up my life. I mean, it was remarkable. I mean, it is one of the top 3 most important things I've done professionally in my life was be coached by you. And I'm not just saying that to make you feel good, as you know, although I hope it does. It's because it was that impactful for me. If I was not open to that coaching, I'm not sure what I'd be doing right now. No idea. So for me,
and Kevin, I take that as a huge honor, and team, you have to know that is just, I feel like coaching is my life work, and I feel very blessed that been given a set of tools that I want to share with the world. And that's the joy that you hear Kevin and I in this exchange being able to do. And I want to bring it back to you, Kevin, and really to you, team, to notice that had Kevin not taken responsibility for your own feelings and said, this isn't working for me. Like I'm getting more and more negative every day. My self-talk is not taking me to where I want to go. I'm going to have the courage and the confidence to try something. I mean, you and I had not known each other. We didn't have a long relationship. So it wasn't, like we had, been friends for a long time. We didn't know each other at all. And you just said, you know what, this looks like what I want to do. So let's talk about defining being coachable, because I know that was something new that came to you when you started taking the coach certification and getting coached by me. You really wrestled with the difference between being a mentor versus being a coach and being coachable. So let's talk about that experience and definition.
Yeah, huge. Wow. Yeah, the whole mentor versus coach. I came at it, and as I told you before, for about 23 years as co-founder of this company, I just felt like I was a mentor, which means that I needed to be able to provide all the answers. And I thought, I had many of the answers, right? And the reality of it is what I learned, and I struggled with this during the first 4 weeks of coaching, was letting go of that, right? Letting go of the mentoring, letting go of having to have the answers, and instead embracing the fact that being coachable or being a coach, to me, it's really much more about helping the other person find the answers within themselves, right? And that as a coach, that's essentially what our role is. And for me, that really hit home, because getting back to my definition of success and significance, it's about contribution and impact. And I redefined my contribution, but not by what I was essentially giving in terms of mentorship, but what I was helping people uncover through coaching. And it was profound. It was because I lived it first, right? I had to live it first. I had to live the let go of the mentor role, which I really struggled with initially, take on that coaching role, do it personally, have it be part of ours, of our coaching relationship, and then apply that with others. And that was the key for me, is when I began to apply it with others too, and I saw how other people responded, it was remarkable. Because mentoring to me is I give some advice, somebody goes out and maybe it works or it doesn't. Coaching is about empowering people to find the answers within themselves by identifying those winning strategies that they can buy into and know that consistently applying those will work over time. I just love that concept. So for me, the coaching and being coachable is all about, essentially I let go of what I knew and embrace something. I totally embraced new thinking, which was so powerful for me.
And new skills, because you completely took on that whole new skills component. So
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, team, you've gotten to hear from a champion who has gone through tremendous change and is constantly embracing champion change, constantly day in and day out. You got to hear amazing winning strategies. It's your turn. We want you to go out and make today a 10, make today what you want, be your own champion for the change that you really want. Kevin and I are on your support team cheering you on. Go for courage. You'll gain that confidence one short-term win at a time, really celebrating those small wins and working through your performance barriers and being coachable. Seek out a coach, somebody that really is skilled at the ability to coach you to become your best. And if it's the honor of us being able to be your coach, that would be amazing for us. We love that. We have the Life Training Academy at lifetrainingacademy.com. And we have our MeQ courses to really train you in the intelligence of you. And that is meq10.com. So again, we're for you. We want you to have that life that you've dreamed of. And most importantly, we want you coached up and ready to go out and be that champion for change. So Kevin, thank you for being on our support team today. So team, it's up to you. Go out and make today a 10 and be a champion for the change that you want in your life. Thank you for listening. We'd like to get you coached up, so head over to iTunes and Spotify and hit subscribe. And remember, a champion life is a 10 life. You and your life matter. Create a life that you love, give hope to others, and be and choose nothing but 10s. Be you. The world needs you. Go to lifetrainingacademy.com to start your training and get coached.